socioeconomic status peers. Low-income students who are highly engaged in the arts are 2 times as likely to graduate college as their peers with no arts education. I feel like these stats are especially pertinent to an area like ours where we do have a lot who struggle in this socioeconomic way. And to the college, our goal is to get our students to graduate high school, but also to get to college and to graduate college. In many areas, STEM education is actually becoming STEAM education. We'll see later on Discovery World's website, they actually even use STEAM instead of STEM. Discovery Education said that creativity in particular is being recognized as a core element to STEM success. There was a large study done that I could have quoted plenty of things from, except for the guy who wrote it. It was very long-winded with his quotes, but he said that manipulative visual arts such as sketching, photography, and origami have been proposed as effective cross-training for spatial intelligence, which is a crucial attribute of successful STEM professionals. 2 of the great thinkers of our time, Albert Einstein and Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, have even been quoted as saying their beliefs in how arts and creativity matters to the sciences. So what I tell you about art, I want to introduce you then to Rainbow Run Art Studio. Rainbow Runn Art Studio is a drop-in creative art studio for all ages, offering a way to explore art in an accessible, welcoming, and judgment-free space. From day passes and workshops to private parties, Rainbow Run provides hands-on access to a wide variety of art supplies and custom keepsakes without the mess, the cost, or the pressure of keeping them all at home. This is a place where everyone, the casual crafter and the serious young artist, can explore their creativity and find a community where everyone belongs. So let's break down a little more of what that looks like and what that means. I said it is an all ages creative studio. The main focus is going to be children, but this is something that's going to be of interest to everyone, young adults, seniors, families. There will be full inventory provided and cleanup is all on us. It's a place where you can access art supplies that you don't necessarily want to have to store at home or purchase all this different sets of. So you can imagine things like paints and canvases or alcohol markers, some of the specialty things that your teen might want to come try. The stock will be continuously refilled and changed based on the customer's desires and what is most popular right then. So just imagine, I have a 5-year-old, so this was important to me. No more paint splatters on the wall, glitter everywhere, or having to research how to clean that paint off your new table. We'll be an inclusive, welcoming, and community-building space. This is a place for everybody, ADHD, autistic, disabled, queer. Everything will be designed with accessibility needs in mind, and we'll even go so far as to consult those with mental or physical disabilities and find out what they need and what's important to them. So this is the section where normally we would talk about our competitors, but I'm calling it our community. Each of these places has something a little bit different to offer. We have different strengths, and I believe this is an art center that we can help fill the gap in between some of the businesses that are around here without competing directly against them. The first and most obvious is the Parkersburg Art Center. They offer classes ranging from $20 to $160, about $40 seem to be the average. They do have large event rooms and galleries. They're a little more, have some more formal areas in that regard. They offer memberships, but I've had many people tell me that they are intimidated to visit because they feel like it's too expensive or too formal for what they're looking for. Next up is the watering can, which a lot of people have said to me they thought they closed down, and they didn't. They actually just moved to Vienna. They're not open weekends, which is something that will be important to note later. And on Wednesdays, they do offer a mixed media event, but that is from noon to 2, so it's going to be targeting a different kind of people. You know, kids are in school at that time, so who they're targeting is going to be different than what I would be focused on. Fridays, they do offer open canvas paint night, and they have other events. So they all have some similar offerings and a little bit different than what we would aim for. Play Planet is one of our newer businesses in town. They are for ages 13 and under only though, so this is something that older kids can't really participate in. They are also playground style play only, not creative play. And then we're gonna be getting a new place in the mall, they just announced recently too, that's gonna be very similar where it's a physical play style. And then of course, Discovery World. They are part of the Museums for All program, which means they offer low-cost admission. They also work with schools and field trips. They're a much larger business, and they offer a mix of physical and interactive play. The last one I want to talk about is Marietta Makery. This is one I actually didn't know about until I started researching for this project. They covered everything from painting to lino stamping to yarn and furniture painting. They did close down last June though to spend more time on her personal projects. This is an article that I found while researching the Marietta Makery, talking about the business closing down. The owner collaborated with about 70 different artists. She is quoted down there saying she shut down to pursue her own art, not because there was an issue with the business. She is still active in the arts community. I tried to reach out to her to meet her, but our schedules weren't able to line up and have that happen before this, for this presentation. But her business was succeeding. It was doing very well. And if she can succeed offering a lot of different arts, then maybe I can too. So survey says, I did do a community survey to see what sort of interest there was. Some of the most important points coming from the survey are these. I'd like to point out that 44% of the people said they wanted to have multiple different price points as opposed to just one ticket entry. The most selected ages of interest, primarily they want a place for their children to go, but also young adults are looking for a place to go. People were wanting special time slots, adult-only nights, sensory-friendly, disability-friendly, even senior citizen. So this is a business that, while we might think of as a kid business, is going to appeal to a lot of other groups as well. 82% of respondents wanted weekend hours, and that's where I said that that's going to be an important fact. The watering can is not open weekends, so the community is looking for something in the evenings and weekends that they can take their families to. So let's look at what an average customer of this business would look like. And you guys are gonna love this, you might recognize her. I spent some time talking to her about this business idea. She is a prime candidate for who I would be marketing to. She's a middle-aged woman, just average middle class. She's a grandmother. She's got 6 grandchildren, and she loves engaging them in the crafts. She's known for her parties and has a strong belief in screen-free creativity time. She wants a place she can take her grandkids, bond with them. You know, she might have a little extra money where she could give them a Christmas present of a membership to an art center. Let's break down some of the details in this business and what we would be looking at. We'd be targeting a few different groups. I'd love to eventually target schools, maybe even just kids that have an art project they have to accomplish for a class. They'd have a place to come use all the supplies instead of purchasing everything they needed. We could offer a place for homeschool groups for the same reason, or even, like I said, senior citizens or those with special needs. The pricing goal, I would have 2 different day passes, the Color Splash and the Color Master, offering at $8 and $12. We would have monthly subscriptions and family discounts also for those passes. And I would be looking into possibly grants or even spawning a nonprofit portion of this business so I can find a way to offer discounts for different groups for schools. Breaking into a nonprofit status is something I would have to seek a little additional assistance with if I were to go that route though, but that would open up a lot of doors in the offerings that I could give. There would be all sorts of add-ons you could tack on pricing wise. Additional or premium materials, take-home kits. A lot of people said they would be interested in that. Imagine being able to bring your child in and have them, create some fun art, and then we print it on a t-shirt, and now you've got Christmas presents for grandma. We can have for classes and group events. It would be important when I look for a space to look for room for parties, offering things like birthday parties, ladies' night, church groups. There's a lot of different groups we could work with for birthday parties. I know my 5-year-old would love a birthday party where all her friends got to get together and just craft to their heart's content. And now the section that I like calling flexibility through diversification, or how do I just keep from failing at this business? There's a lot of directions, like I said, that this could go in the future. We could look at ways to make the customer more comfortable. If they're there, doing arts for hours, they could offer a coffee machine or some snacks. We could have a laptop corner or a massage chair for the parents to sit in while the kids are crafting. And it's an excuse for me to buy a massage chair. We could accept donation of used art supplies and resell them to people. We could even look at working with the community and internships, volunteer hours, things like that. We could look at expanding the arts in the future. There's always unending amounts of arts we could look into. Yarn, sewing, filming. We could set up a corner for social media filming, have your preteen in there filming her TikToks and being able to make her own items to use in the filming, digital arts. We could give lessons on how to incorporate AI art ethically. My images here have been rendered using AI assistants. I can't just steal pictures of art centers from other places that are open, but I needed to be able to give you a vision of what this could look like. So why me? Why am I the person for this job? Talk a little bit more about myself. I graduated this last December with my bachelor's, Regents Bachelor's of Arts. I already have my associates in business from WVUP as well. I am currently the owner already of Rainbow Run LLC. I'm established and revenue generating, even if it's a small revenue. I run an Etsy page and a website, a Square website, a YouTube channel. I am experienced in retail management and quality control, administration, basic accounting, and working with children. I have a lot of experience in my past that I feel like I could tailor to a business like this. And I want to introduce you a little bit to some of my family. At the top is my niece Thea. She's 8 years old, and she is autistic. My daughter Josie, who many of you have seen grow up in the halls of this college, I guarantee she's going to be ADHD by the time she gets to school. All her family is. And this is my sister-in-law, Susan. She was disabled both physically and mentally in a car accident when she was young. I bring these people up to tell you that Rainbow Run Art Center is inspired by lived experiences. It's designed for my family as well as for your family. Josie's grandparents would love to spend more time with her, but they take care of Susan. And even places like Discovery World that we love to spend time, it's too physically strenuous on them to take her and to visit. So having a place where we could all sit down together and bond would be something that would benefit a lot of families. So if I were to win, what's the disposition of the winnings? Primarily, the money would be spent on a lease. A building's expensive, that's the biggest part of this. There's also things like startup supplies, insurance, a heat press machine. My first year's expenses, without considering payroll for myself, are estimated at just over $21,000. I do have an investor who is willing to match the funding from this winnings if I were to get this grant. I do have an Excel spreadsheet available for a full breakdown if we need to look at anything. So I'd like to end on this. West Virginia has always been a place that makes things with its hands. Rainbow Run is a place where the next generation learns that their hands and their imaginations have value. With your support, we're not just opening an art studio. We're telling that every kid in this community that their creativity matters that they matter, and that this community invested in them before they ever had to prove it. I'd like to open it up to if there's any questions.
Have you looked at some different places that you might consider leasing, and what do they look like as far as rooms and stuff like that?
I have not gone inside of them, but I have called around at a couple of different places. I want to say it was around $900 seemed to be the monthly cost that I was finding. It seemed to be about average. That's for, I think it was 1,000 square feet. I had found some bigger places, but the cost seemed prohibitive for at least starting out. There was a place on Market Street that I talked to the landlord there, and he was supposed to get back to me. He said he had another building that he thought might be an even better fit. There was a place on South Side and one in Vienna. Trying to find somewhere that has good enough visibility, but can balance the cost. But yeah, and enough parking and safe parking. There was a few places I looked at that they had parking, but they're on a main street in a way that I would feel uncomfortable getting my kids in and out of. And so that was something I looked at.
When you did your general overhead summarization, I noticed that your general day pass was like $8.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough to cover your overhead for supplies and rent and everything? I know you said you had a full spreadsheet, but
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a really great deal.
Parties would be a big contributor. Parties and memberships. That's something that I've seen in other businesses that I've helped manage. The day passes are going to be a very variable amount, and especially seasonally. You know, when kids are out of school, you're probably going to get a lot more of those. And so we would also try to heavily market towards birthday parties, towards group events, towards just like, you know, at Christmas time selling family memberships, things like that.
I love that you did your list of key partners and like your target group identifying. I guess I work closely with Jamie that has First Chapter Bookstore on Market Street.
Yes.
And trying to help her come up with strategies to be successful. And I noticed that key to Jamie's success, you honed in on.
Okay.
Is it's the add-ons, it's the midnight release parties, it's
Yeah.
the let's paint a book cover together, it's the stuff. Her biggest source of revenue isn't just people that walk through the door on
Yeah.
hours. So I applaud you for considering that you can't just sit behind a counter and wait
Yeah.
for them to come to you. You gotta go and get them.
Well, I chalk that up to years of experience in retail, and having to work on finding those other ways. And everything from I've worked in large corporate retail spaces to small privately owned places. And marketing is hard, but it's important. So yeah, I've seen that. But I can't wait to go visit the bookstore. I haven't had a chance to yet. It looks really cool.
When you talk about a day pass, is that period of time where they can use any supplies that are available, or how do you anticipate managing that in store?
So I imagine, I've gone back and forth a lot on this, and I feel like this is something that's probably going to have to just change over time with experience of how it actually works. I don't want to, you know, punish people visiting who don't have access to the supplies they want because somebody else wants to come in and abuse supplies. And I don't want to just keep everything behind the counter. And so whether that ends up being 2 different rooms, this is the room with the basic supplies and this is the room with the higher end supplies, so if you purchase the higher end pass, or whether it's all the basic supplies are constantly available, and maybe when if you have the higher level pass, let's say you get 3 canvases or something. Well, if you want more, they're available, but you have to ask for them behind the desk to help manage a little bit of the waste. So I've come up with a couple of ideas, but it's something that we're probably going to have to experience and tweak over time, honestly.
You said you'd probably offer some kind of a discount, like if I came in with 6 kids.
Yeah.
Offer some kind of a discount for multiple people. I think that was also very good. I feel like the day pass, what's great about it is you have it at a price that most people are only gonna spend a couple hours in there.
Right.
And so you say, oh, you have access the whole day, but it's still a
Sure.
reasonable price. So, you know,
tried to do a lot of research on similar businesses, both in our area and just around the country, to see what they charged and try to keep it balanced.
And I had printed off, like your break-even analysis. But
Sure.
I didn't see it in here.
I did put at the end here, an appendix. I have the survey, but let me go forward.
Yeah, the surveys.
Yeah, we can look at that if you'd like, but, so break-even analysis starts down here, and then goes to the next page.
Holly, if you go to that packet,
Alright, thank you.
I would say the devil will be the details as far as the day-to-day management
Right.
of the space.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have a wet canvas? Like, I can't take it if I move in and take it with me at this point in
Right.
time, do I come back and pick it up at a later date? Are there incentives for people to come back? You know, like.
Right.
Won't be happy to hold on to this for you, how do you manage those sorts of things, I think is going to be a
Yeah.
big deal. And if you wanna have parties, you don't wanna be able to have to close down your other spaces, so
Sure.
having dual spaces may be something that is a necessity, because you don't want to have to call ahead every
Yeah.
time you wanna drop in. So thinking about those details
Right.
and the workflow,
The party space, I feel like definitely needs to be kind of a separate room. And maybe even there's an area where we're gonna have to consider things like ventilation. Certain paints are gonna need ventilation. And maybe we include a drying area, maybe we have a fan that helps dry things a little faster. Or if you're a member, we have, wall space where we can hang things and let you come back and get them with your name and everything on them if you're a member. And yeah, working through all of that, I can come up with a lot of ideas right now. But they're probably gonna change over time as you experience them in person.
So when I look at the break-even point and it says 782 units per month, is that based on basically, day passes? Or is that?
It's a combination of,
Cause when I divided out, I noted that it's 26 units.
it's based on a lot of things. So this is where I personally was trying to work through how things might end up looking. So maybe 1 out of every 20 people that come in or buys a print. Maybe 1 out of every 4 people come in to get a take-home kit. There's premium add-ons. We charge a little extra if you want additional or larger canvases or upgrades, passes, parties. I tried to break down all the different areas people might spend a little bit. I did not include things like if we set up a coffee bar, and we're selling drinks. But just with what we're offering here, tried to estimate like what can I envision realistic numbers looking like, and then breaking down the math on it.
easy gifting of this would be crucial. I think, my mom has multiple grandchildren, and
Yeah.
I would definitely say, I'm gonna give you 5 day passes.
Yeah.
Where a whole year's membership may not be.
Yep.
But I think that would be really, really crucial in your success.
Well, and working through, so grandma buys your kids day passes or buys your kids memberships. Well, now you can go in and buy grandma a tote bag with their art on it, or a t-shirt, or a coffee mug. Some of my experience with Etsy and some of my print on demand that I'm already doing, and learning how to make items myself would incorporate into this business, and so it's going to be a back and forth is what I imagine.
So you could break even on that's reasonable. I mean, when I consider the over 25 days basically in a month.
Mhm.
I think that it's fairly.
Sure. Well, good. Didn't stretch it too much.
judges, anything else that you'd like to ask? No?
Thank you for your time.